The way in which we use technology will create but the ways by which we use them.
Our today's guest is Gaobao Xu, from the Institute of Applied Science in China. Xu, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Can you give me a short introduction on the field of research?
I'm working mainly on electrochemistry, in particular like electroanalysis or like electrochemiluminescence and some related material or device for electrochemiluminescence application.
Do you work also outside of the lab? Do you work with commercial companies?
I didn't work with a commercial company, but sometimes we have collaborated with commercial company to develop some electrochemical sensor or to do some some organic product. Because I have quite a bigger group, so maybe different group member work on different research topic. For example, some of my group member work on electrocatalysis, or some work on organic synthesis of some material for industry application. Of course, some related to electrochemistry, such as electrodeposition or electroplating.
Can you give me a short insight on your latest research? What's the most interesting thing you're working on?
For me, because I work for a long time on electrochemiluminescence, and electrochemiluminescence is by the combination of electrochemistry and chemiluminescence. So by applying electrochemistry technique, you can control the chemiluminescence reaction. And so this technique is a very useful technique and has been used very broadly in the world in hospital or in scientific research such as biological research. So for electrochemiluminescence, you can use a smartphone to do experiment for anyone because they can use very simple device. For example, you use a small charging for smartphone or just small cell as power source for electrochemiluminescence, and then you use your smartphone to take photo. By you take a photo of electrochemiluminescence, you can measure one sample, or you can measure, for example, 100 samples together. Because just take a photo, you can measure 100 samples. So it's a very useful technique for analytical application. It also can be used, for example, light emitting device. For example, electrochemical light emitting electrochemical cell can be used as a new light source device.
How much does your research focuses on hydrogen production?
For hydrogen production, frankly speaking, I study little on hydrogen production, but actually our group, I think, make some pretty interesting results on hydrogen production. We are the first. We reported the first paper by using carbon material as both anode and cathode electrode for the generation of both hydrogen and oxygen. And because the carbon material is a very low cost material, maybe in future, maybe carbon material can be used as some special material for hydrogen evolution, or for example, for oxygen evolution reaction, or some like electrolytes or some organic compound, so that to cut down the cost for the production of hydrogen.
So how far along is the research on hydrogen in China? Talking about fuel cell production, catalysts, and so on.
For hydrogen application, I think I come from Changchun, and Changchun is a sister city sister city of Novi Sad. And our city is very, very famous in the production of high-speed train. For example, it can run at the 400 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
At the prolonged very like hot temperature, like 50 degrees to minus like 40 degrees, and it can run on different layaway with different weathers. And in this year, our city have made a new train by using hydrogen as the energy. So it can run at a speed of like 160 kilometers per hour. And I think in very near future, they will increase the speed of train, use hydrogen as a power source. And because our institute has some like a sticky library on electroanalytical chemistry, and many professors in our institute also study like electrocatalysis, also including the production of hydrogen and like use iridium as a catalyst to produce hydrogen in large scale. So we have an institute on hydrogen production in our institute. And now in our country, our government put much fund to develop green technology because to improve the living condition, to improve the environmental and so on. So I think you can you see with news in China, you can find that every year we have many green techniques are developed, especially use hydrogen energy. For example, to use hydrogen as energy for vehicle or train and many other things.
So there's a strong production of fuel cells in China. And how do you see this in terms of competition with the Western production?
Western production, I think because I didn't study fuel cell much. It's difficult for me to give a very precise comparison. But in China, because during the past maybe 10 years, China developed very rapidly. And many technology developed many technology with technical with very short time. So I think, for example, just an example, like a electric vehicle in China, and maybe now maybe one of the best country in China, like a BYD, and now, for example, probably is the largest manufacturer for the production of car using electric as the power source. It is now before Tesla is the best one, the largest one. I think in last year, BYD became the largest manufacturer in the world, and next year maybe much. So I think in near future, China technique will be very strong. And of course, for scientific research, sometimes it's difficult to predict who will get the best results. So sometimes maybe our country is better, sometimes Western country have better technique. But if scientists work hard, so you invest more fund, invest and ask more people to develop green technique. I think we can will be successful.
What do you see as the most promising field in hydrogen in China in future?
In hydrogen, in future, now in China they have different technique to produce hydrogen. For example, one like use electrochemical water splitting, or use some. One is to produce hydrogen, but hydrogen maybe is difficult to store it. Also, it needs a high cost. now they try to develop an alternative method. For example, one side is for example, on cathodic, they produce hydrogen. On anode, they produce other compound. For example, by using electrochemical oxidation of glycerol to produce some usable compound. Or, for example, they can use like ammonia as a new hydrogen source to develop a fuel cell or other power production.
So what is your next research? What will be the focus of your next research?
For my next research, because in my group, we have several, besides me, we have another professor. He is focused on synthesis of nanostructure and like a chiral nanostructure. They use this chiral nanostructure to find a new property for chiral nanomaterial, like a CD or like a Raman spectroscopy technique. And for me, I mainly focus on like electrochemiluminescence or chemiluminescence technique for clinical diagnostics. Of course, some of my group, because member also are studying like electrocatalysis.
Professor Xu, thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you very much. And welcome you to come to China in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.